And see, we don't want to address the big elephant in the room, but we ain't going to run from it today because Cheryl Swoopes made news. Now, she made news last week when she sat up there and was applauding Indiana Fever players, but then forgot to mention Caitlin Clark. She jumped all in my ass because I sat up there and said, hey, how you going to ignore Caitlin Clark? You know what she brings to the table. How you just going to ignore her? That's not an accident. Cheryl Swoopes is a champion. A champion. Look at her tweet and what she put up about me. You talk about whomever and whatever you want to on your podcast, correct? So why can't I? Also, did you listen to the entire episode? Nope. I have a personal relationship with these players, and they deserve recognition as well. That ain't the point, Cheryl Swoopes. Yes, I did listen to your entire podcast. You didn't mention Caitlin Clark. So I was right, number one. Number two, your personal relationship, what that got to do with your coverage? Ain't nobody said don't mention them. Ain't nobody said don't applaud them. Nobody told you to ignore them. What we're saying is if you're going to give the Indiana Fever all the credit in the world, how you going to mention the Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark's name even coming up? So then after that, Cheryl Swoopes engages in levels of immaturity. There's no way to slice it. I'm not going to insult this champion, this great basketball mind, this phenomenally accomplished Hall of Famer. I'm not going to insult her. All I'm going to say is it was pretty damn immature to come back at me like that. Called me an effing coward because I called you out for not doing your job. So you on a podcast that means you don't have to do your job? I mean, the bottom line is this. She engaged in a level of immaturity. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, to just bite at me like that. Oh, why? Because what did I say? What did I say? You want to know what I said? Take a look at what I said last week about Cheryl Swoopes. Respectfully, Cheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark, because that gives fodder to those who believe she's being hated on and ostracized to some degree. Do you realize that, Cheryl Swoopes, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Cheryl Swoopes, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball. That's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it. I mean, listen, the bottom line is this. There's a whole bunch of reasons that I'm quite sure Cheryl Swoopes can come up with. Who can imagine that she's got stuff on her mind? Lord knows what she's got on her mind and what she wants to express. I get all of that. People can speculate until the cows come home about what that is. But one thing that's undeniable is that she seems to get offended with her objectivity being questioned, her professional objectivity. The problem is she's the one that brought her professional objectivity into focus by her own behavior.
Absolutely. I've never been so in agreement with Stephen A. in my entire life. The fact that her comeback was, it's my podcast, I'm allowed to talk about whatever I want. Yeah, but that's missing the entire target. My God. That's like trying to shoot a layup and launching the ball through the roof to the moon. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, that's like if Stephen A. was talking about the great Golden State Warriors and talked about Clay, talked about Draymond, talked about KD, but didn't talk about Steph Curry, didn't even mention him, and just said, well, this is my show. I'm on First Take. I can talk about whoever I want. No, it's not. Like, you are being a professional. Sure, if you were just talking with your friends, fine. I get it. If you're on social media and you're just having posts where you just want to keep highlighting the greatness of some of these other players, fine. But you are hosting a show, a podcast, however you want to define it, whether it's a TV show, a podcast, a radio show, YouTube, whatever. You then have a responsibility to be honest, to tell the truth, to tell the whole story. And I understand if you can't tell every single detail, right? If I talk about the Indiana Fever and I talk about how great Boston is and Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, right? There's plenty of players that I'm missing out because you can only go so deep. But when you're going to leave out the biggest, most popular, most important, most impactful player of that entire team, that is insane. Insane. It makes sense to keep with the Warriors analogy if they talked about Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, KD, Draymond, but you didn't get a chance to talk about Looney. You didn't get a chance to talk about Iguodala. You didn't get a chance to talk about, some of these other more role players. I understand, again, there's only so much time. But this idea, like, well, I have a relationship with these people. Again, it's like Stephen A. doesn't have relationships with these other players. Like, what are we talking about? If you're now saying that you're creating content based on your relationships with these people, well, then that means your content is not worth consuming from a professional level. On a more personal, entertaining level, fine. But that's not what Cheryl Swoopes is trying to do. She wants to pride herself and be like she is a true important voice in sports and women's basketball as a whole. That is what she's trying to do. This isn't like, hey, I'm just hanging out, we're talking, whatever I want to talk about, that's just what this is. That's just kind of like an entertainment, right? That's like the Joe Rogans of the world. That's not what she's trying to do. All of these people who are trying to have these sports podcasts are trying to do things like Stephen A. in First Take, like Colin Cowherd in The Herd, right? They are trying to become true, respected voices in the sports community. And so if you're going to do that, well, then you have to have integrity. You have to hang up your pettiness. I talk about plenty of players on this channel and my other channel that I fundamentally do not like. I think they're bad people. And yet I still talk about them as unbiasedly as I possibly can. Because I want to be trusted. I want to be respected. I want people to come and listen to me and think at the very least that I'm trying my best. That I'm not trying to be misleading. That I'm not trying to be petty. Let's say I don't like, which I do, I'm using him as an example, Patrick Mahomes. Let's say I don't like Patrick Mahomes. And I just went out of my way to just keep saying Patrick Mahomes isn't that good. Patrick Mahomes isn't that good. He's not that good. Like, what? Who would respect that? Who would want to listen to me? Nobody. They would be like, what's wrong with you? He's obviously great. We can all see it. So that's why Cheryl Swoopes gets the feedback that she got. And the fact that she then goes on the attack on Stephen A. is just comically hilarious. Comically hilarious. It's just absurd, man. It's absurd. I'm so happy I caught this clip. Because this is insanity. And I do respect Stephen A. for this. For him standing up and for him pushing back. I do. And I'm not a big, massive Stephen A. Smith fan at all. At all. I actually prefer more low-key, chill content. That's why Colin Cowherd is my favorite. Because he just like calmly talks the whole time. Right? That's my speed. Call me an old man, but that's what I like. I don't like the animated, getting super intense, screaming. It's too performative for me personally. But when it's not, is in moments like this. When you're standing up for your beliefs. Because that's how when I get passionate about something, it's because I fully believe it to my core. It's part of my identity. That's why I get so excited about it. This is why I'm so pumped up about this, because it means so much. It's more than just sports. You're standing up for a belief system. You're standing up for your integrity and honesty. And if anyone wants to try to push that or challenge that, it's like, well, then let's go. If you ever see me in the comment section, like when someone wants to come and attack me individually, that's when I jump in. That's when it's like, are you serious? Let's go. If it's like, oh, you're just wrong about this take or that take, that's fine. That's totally fair game, which is why I always say, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, etc. But let's just have some fun. But when you're trying to go after the person, the individual, you better come prepared. You better come prepared. So this whole story is just crazy. And it's just crazy that she thinks that she's right. She truly believes that she's right. That's what these mind viruses do to us. They infect our brains and think we're seeing clear when we're just seeing nonsense. It's crazy. This whole thing, this really is the gift that keeps on giving. All of these things, all of WNBA. And I'm about to record another video. I'm not sure when it's going to post, whether the same day as this video or the next day. But it's about like them saying, and I'm not going to reveal the whole thing, but it's about them talking about, we need to end the divide in the WNBA and stuff like that. And it's like, no, we don't. That is sports. It's the divide. It's the thing that keeps everyone going. It's why so many people watch LeBron because they want to see him pass Michael Jordan or fail to pass Michael Jordan. People come in and they watch Steph Curry versus LeBron because they want to see Steph own LeBron or LeBron own Steph. Like, it's the division that keeps everything going. It's these types of conversations. It's this battling. It's the fighting on in social media, on YouTube, wherever. It's turning up the temperature. That's what gets people watching. And that's what the WNBA needs. And I'm going to end it there because I'm going to go on a whole rant about it. But there's a lot more to unpack than just that. But yeah, I would really love to hear your thoughts on this one, with the whole Cheryl Swoopes going back and forth with Stephen A on social media and just this whole insanity. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.